And type 2 diabetes and obesity, as we said, are so closely associated that there's a trend to refer to them as diabesity. So why is it out of the question that people with obesity are particularly intolerant to these carbohydrates too? But rather than manifest it immediately as high blood sugar, they manifest it as excess fat storage.
Well, I mean, not only are there differences between people in terms of their lifestyle, so obviously, bodybuilders versus sedentary people, even if you match them in other ways, right, their lifestyle is going to have a big impact on how their body's processing calories. Another thing that I like to point out that, I learned recently to people is there are very big genetic differences that have to do with metabolism that dictate how our bodies process different calories. So even just among, I had a population geneticist on a few months ago, and one of the things they've uncovered there is one of the major locuses of genetic diversity for humans, just among white Europeans even, is the fatty acid desaturase enzyme. So people can vary dramatically in the enzymatic capacity they have to deal with different types of fatty acids. And so people are going to differ in terms of the way their diet manifests in their physical body, even if they're matched for other lifestyle factors, because there are, at the end of the day, intrinsic differences in us that have to do with genetics.
And there's sort of two fundamental observations that I think are important here. One is the point Oren made about the percentage of refined carbs in the diet, but this idea of a nutrition transition. So every population anywhere in the world that goes through a nutrition transition from whatever their traditional diet is. So it doesn't matter if it was Southeast Asians living on rice and wheat, or Maasai living on the blood and milk of the cattle that they're herding, or Siberian reindeer herders, or the Irish potato farmers,
high carb diets, high fat diets, low protein, high protein.
It doesn't matter. You start eating a Western diet, trading with the West, you eventually manifest the epidemics of obesity, diabetes, and all these chronic diseases. This observation gets tricky, right? Because when you start trading with the West, you also start having interactions with Western doctors who might be more likely to notice the symptoms of these diseases and diagnose them. But for the most part, it was such a consistent observation that we'll assume it's true. So that tells you right there that the trigger of obesity and diabetes epidemics in populations is likely to be unrelated to genetics, because it happens in all these populations regardless of their genetic racial background. Pretty much in the same patterns as well. But in those populations, you get huge variations depending on what you eat. And you could see that, just look around America. We all, for the most part, ate pretty much the same thing. And some of us stayed lean, and some of us became obese, and some of us became diabetic.